After the collapse of UT Bank and UniBank, the owners of these two banks, that's Prince Kofi Amoaben and Dr. Kwabena Dufour, petitioned Parliament to investigate circumstances that led to the collapse of these two banks. Now, Parliament extended an invitation to the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana has replied, indicating that it will be unable to honor that invitation. We are here to find out from the First Deputy Speaker, who is also the chairman of the committee that was set up by Parliament to investigate this particular matter. Honorable Joseph Osewusu, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right. Now, first of all, where has the committee reached in terms of investigation into this matter?
The committee convened and we requested the petitioners to tell us their case, the basis for the claim, the basis for asking Parliament to investigate anything. So the petitioners brought their respective cases. After reading through, we decided that it would be appropriate to refer them to the regulator, the Bank of Ghana, who is being accused of trampling on their rights, so to speak, to respond. The Bank of Ghana wrote formally that it appears that the letter went through their processes. By the time it got to the appropriate place for response, they were almost at the end of the period we gave them to respond to us. So they requested for extension of time. We agreed, obliged them. And they subsequently brought us their response about 10 days ago. I received their response, which I've circulated to members. What we agreed when on the day we directed the Secretariat to write to them was that when we received their response, that's when we will reconvene. When their response came, the Appointments Committee was busy. The Appointments Committee is also chaired by myself, and some members of the Appointments Committee are also members of the committee set up by Mr. Speaker to investigate the complaint. So we have not reconvened because of that. I hope that by the close of day tomorrow, the Appointment Committee will be finished. We will conclude our consideration of the nominees of the President. And then I'll convene a meeting of the special committee, and we'll determine based on the response we have received from the Bank of Ghana.
But if I may find out, what was the purpose of this investigation?
Well, the petitioner said that Parliament should investigate the manner in which the Bank of Ghana terminated or withdrew their licenses to operate as commercial banks in Ghana, whether the Bank of Ghana has been fair to them. So largely that's what Mr. Speaker admitted and referred to us to investigate the processes and procedures adopted by the Bank of Ghana, whether they were in conformity with the law as it exists on the ground.
So now the Bank of Ghana has declined to appear before you. What's your initial reaction to that?
Well, I'm considering, so I'm refusing to call it decline. You know, anytime a matter is raised at any forum, a party may say this is not the appropriate forum, or this is not the person who has authority to investigate this matter, or that there's a legal procedure other than this which can be used. If you read the totality of the response of the Bank of Ghana, I see them to be saying that, okay, this is the law. This is our mandate. We have done ABCD in accordance with the mandate of the law. The law itself has provided a procedure and a forum for disputing, so we think this is not the appropriate forum. It's a legal objection, so to speak, that you have no power to deal with this matter. And we think that the appropriate forum has been provided by the law itself. So use that one.
Do you agree? Because they are saying Parliament is not the appropriate forum. Do you agree to that, you being a lawyer?
That is not for me to agree or disagree. For now, I'm speaking as me, but their response will be considered in accordance with the law and the petition by the committee. In the end, I think it is not open to me to offer my personal opinion on a matter like this. I lead a team, and I expect that we will discuss what they have raised vis-a-vis the law and vis-a-vis the petitioners also, the petition, and then the conclusions we come to, we will report to the House.
So if they don't appear before you, how do you intend to address the petition that is before you?
First, what we're trying to find out is that if Parliament does not do anything, that will foreclose the right of the petitioners. If we do something or anything, will that resolve the matter finally? These are the matters we will consider, right? So the petition was for Parliament to direct the Bank of Ghana to do A, B, C, D, E. Does Parliament have that power or not? Does the law give that power to Parliament? Has the law indeed prescribed a procedure other than what is before us, as alleged by Bank of Ghana? These are matters the committee will investigate. Whether we agree with the Bank of Ghana, or we say, no, we don't agree with you, we will go ahead and look at the petition, the evidence you've provided, and look at the law. Whether, notwithstanding your objection, we find that there's a procedural error or that you trampled upon their rights, it is for the committee to look at all this and decide what to do. But I refrain from making any judgment calls on the position now. I should be careful not to prejudge a matter which a committee is to investigate.
So I'm just wondering, if the Bank of Ghana doesn't appear before you, won't that set a bad precedence? Because others may also be invited by Parliament, and they may also say that, okay, because of this and that, we will not appear before you. Won't that set as a bad precedence?
I think the precedent we should be seeking to set is the precedent that the law permits. Parliament makes the laws. If Parliament makes the laws and we prescribe a certain procedure, should we ourselves go behind the procedure? So what we should be seeking to do is to set the parameters where Parliament can intervene, right? So it should not be whether there's a precedent or the objection is a precedent for A or for B. We should be looking at what precedent that the law permits, what will be appropriate in the circumstance. Is Parliament the proper forum for litigating certain matters? Has Parliament, by enacting certain laws, provided alternatives if those are not exhausted, if those have not been used? Or should Parliament, notwithstanding anything, be able to say, notwithstanding what it is here or there, this petition is before us? So the precedent we should be seeking to set is what is appropriate within the legal and democratic circumstances of the country. So
all things being equal, when you are done with the vetting process, you call for a meeting for you to continue with that?
I'm hoping by the close of the week we'll be done with the matters relating to the appointment of deputy committees. So I'm hopefully working with the other members of the committee and the clerk, we probably can look at a week from tomorrow to reconvene and discuss the issues before us.
But I'm just wondering who the Bank of Ghana is accountable to.
Bank of Ghana is not accountable in law for its actions and inactions in its regulatory functions, but they are accountable for their use of public funds, right, to Parliament. And Parliament calls them all the time. Committee on Finance meets with them all the time. They invite them, but this is not a matter of accountability. They are required by law to report to Parliament on their activities at the end of the year. But this is not one. This is a petition. And so it's not a question of accountability. In the performance of its regulatory functions, that's where you should be asking. The performance of its regulatory functions, how do you deal with breaches of the rules, dissatisfaction, or an aggrieved bank, or financial institution which the Bank of Ghana regulates? If you're dissatisfied with the decision of the Bank of Ghana in its regulatory functions, where should you go? Where's the appropriate forum? Is Parliament the appropriate forum? If not, or if the appropriate forum, for example, should fail, what should you do? These are where the level of accountability, if any, and has the law provided for that forum? Is there a gap in the legal system for dealing with such dissatisfaction? These are the matters we should be looking at.
And how do we deal with that?
That will come out in our discussion, because we have all the laws here. We have the petitions there, the laws of Bank of Ghana. We've made copies for everybody. The laws regulating the financial institutions, the powers of Bank of Ghana, and all of them. We've made sure that every member has a copy. So when we meet, we'll be looking at what does the law say. The Bank of Ghana's opinion or their interpretation of the law, does that deal with the matter exhaustively? What issues they have raised? Do we agree with them? Do we think differently from them? Those are the matters we'll be discussing at the committee. So
now I know that UniBank is in court, and is that an extrajudicial or a double agony sort of?
These are some of the issues raised by the Bank of Ghana, and I think those are the matters that we will be looking at, whether it is appropriate to be doing it in court and doing it here. What does the law itself say? Those are the things we'll be looking at.
But UT is not in court.
The evidence before us suggests differently. So the documents before us, presented by the petitioners and the respondents, say differently.
Differently meaning UT is also in court?
Yes.
Okay, that we are not aware.
The we refers to who?
We the citizens.
Well, you see, I think that these are private matters. The banks, the commercial banks, are private corporate bodies. When they are engaged in their private litigation, you may not get to know the details of where they are going. The public interest came in and is very strong in this matter because, indeed, the regulator who represents all of us, the governor, says that these banks have done A, B, C, D. It has cost me so much to do Y, Z, X, Y, Z. That is why you're into. Otherwise, the banks and their regulators litigate all the time. You may not be interested. But this has generated public interest because of the ramifications of the actions taken by the governor and the cost to the public as a result of the actions taken by the Bank of Ghana. Otherwise, it's like me and the General Legal Counsel. If as a lawyer I misconduct myself or I do something, or the General Legal Counsel determines that I've done A, B, C, D, or Y, you may not get to know or may not get to hear because it's a private matter. But in this case, the actions of the regulator also affected some employees, it affected some depositors, it affected some investors, and there's a cost to the public which has been announced publicly. So everybody is interested in knowing it. But as to how the affected parties, what action they have taken or not taken to protect their investment, to protect their rights as shareholders, to protect as managers and directors of the bank, they may have been matters which you would not get to hear unless they specifically invited you in.
All right, so let's move to the appointment committee. We know you'll be finishing the vetting of the deputy ministers.
That's right.
Right. So how has been the process so far with the cooperation of the minority?
I would say that we have cooperated very, very well. We have managed to do practically all consideration of the nominees without incident. So far, I think that cooperation is fantastic.
The minority side of the committee, and they are saying they will not take part in Martin J. Mensah courses vetting. How is that going to affect the process?
Well, ahead of that, after the vetting of Martin J. Mensah, we finished the vetting of Martin J. Mensah on Friday. Then the Friday evening, on my way home, I was called by one of the news stations and said one of the issues they raised, that minority said they were boycotting the vetting of Martin J. Mensah. Well, they are not bound to tell me what they are doing, but I didn't have that information before with the vetting.
And it's not only Martin J. Kosa, but Gifty Konedu as well.
You see, there are so many individual issues that have been taken as committee decisions. I'm aware that one member has said he will not vote for her. But you see, decisions are taken by members present and voting. That member was not present at the time at the end of the proceedings when we were taking the decision. So yes, he had said it, but he was not present to vote. And so we cannot change the decision because somebody was absent. I don't know whether subsequently the minority as a group, after voting at the meeting, have changed their mind. I'm not aware.
So you still stand by the point that the vetting process has been smooth?
Very, very, very smooth indeed. If you look at how close the numbers are, this is for the first time that both sides of the House are equally represented at the committee. You know, but for the fact that we cooperate effectively, we should be having very strong, probably rancorous decisions, but we don't have that. We manage to reach consensus on many things, and for me, it's a plus to our democracy.
All right. So, Mr. Speaker, so we are told that up to now we still do not have bills coming to Parliament. What's the issue?
If there are no bills, they won't come. It's our practice that bills normally will emanate from the executive. Getting to the close of the last Parliament, some private members' bills were promoted and actually passed amendments to some existing laws already. But, you know, the cabinet itself was set up only last week. And I'm aware that various ministers and ministries have started discussion on certain bills, new bills. So when the bills are ready, they will be laid before the House.
Just that some people have complained that it's been long overdue because looking at from January, no, like for bills not to come to the House
if
from
you have
January
no bills,
up to now.
why? In the last Parliament, we did a lot more than any Parliament has ever done. No Parliament has done more than 70 bills in a whole 4 years. Last Parliament did over 100. So to the best of my knowledge, practically everyone which was important, we finished them in the last Parliament. Of course, it doesn't mean that that is the end. New issues will come. There will be need to amend some existing laws. New matters will be raised. You may need to regulate them. But it doesn't mean that if you have no new bill. You should bring a bill. No.
So now, Mr. Speaker, I remember during the Rastafarian issue, you said Rastas or Rastamen or women, they smoke weed. Now, at the back of this issue that you said that the Achimota school have been asked to admit the students, which they have. Now, if given the opportunity, will you retract the statement that you made?
I think, unfortunately, the media are part of the problem of this country. You misrepresent statements. You pick pieces and portions of statements and present them as the whole thing. I was speaking on the floor of the House. I think if anybody took the 15 minutes I spoke and picked, there was no need to ask me another question. Because, what did I say? I said that the matter of the Achimota school one should not be discussed as a religious matter. Because if you bring it into religion, you complicate matters for the young man. And that's when I went on to state why I say that it should not be discussed as a religious matter. But I wanted to say that when it comes to whether Achimota school has a right to make the regulations that they are making, whether Achimota school or the GES is the one which will make the regulations, whether GES should instruct, I said, on those matters, I offer no opinion. But we should make sure that the rights of the boy in the end should be supreme. The heading that Rastafarians smoke weed misrepresented my statement. I said the worship involves the smoking of weed, and this is what I've quoted for you. I didn't create that. Right. That's why I said, if you use that as a basis for claiming for his right, then you complicate matters for the boy. Because if I were the headmaster, then I insist that for this religion, it is part of his practice. And so if he insists that I should use religion as a basis, I'll say that he can insist on doing this as a rule. That is part of their religion. It doesn't mean that he personally would do it. It may mean that he's entitled to do it, but he's not interested in doing it.
Oh no, but is there any other issue you may want to add?
My worry is that this country, there's honesty generally in the country. There's a preaching going on. A preacher is talking about why people are not building new industries and so on. He says he was meeting some rich men, and he said, why aren't you building factories? And they all laughed. And they pointed out that practically the people you find struggling, they don't have jobs, it's so because many of them have experienced that. Just start a business and put them there. From management to down, all they do is try to steal from you. For me, we appear to discuss our problems in a manner that does not address the real issue we have as a country. The real issue we have in this country is our integrity gap. It's too huge. It is too huge. You can hardly get 2 out of 8 people that will properly account for anything, any money, young or old. But unfortunately, we discuss them as if it's a party issue. No. It's a general issue. Every businessman is now limiting him or herself to only what he can see personally. So, you have money and the resources and the market to expand. But until they are able to have systems that will check everybody, he only limits himself to what he can personally oversee. Because anytime you expand beyond your own site, you lose.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. So we have been speaking to Honorable Joseph Osei-Wusu, who is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Chairman of the Appointment Committee, as well as Chairman of the committee that was set up to investigate the UT UniBank Bank of Ghana issue. I am Evelyn Tenkma.